Welcome everyone to a quick and hopefully short little tips and tricks video. It's not going to be as much tricks, but more tips for new players coming into the game. A few things that you should know, and that might be hard to, some information that might be hard to come by on your own when you get into the game. These are all based on my personal preferences, and this is just some of the tips I want to share with you. So you might have other people that think slightly different or give you other tips they think are the most important ones. But these are just 10 tips that I want to share with you guys. And hopefully it will help your start in naval action be slightly smoother. So let's get them rolling. So the first tip I'm going to share with you is this. When you get into naval action as a new player, you obviously won't be at sea in a boosting tower as me. However, what you will have is your chat down in your lower left corner, either looking like this, and you can press T to get it up if not. Same with the icon down here to bring up your chat. It might also be minimized, so that's this button here to get it up and this one to minimize it. What I want to show you is just a very simple thing that a few people don't know as they start out, and it's not necessarily intuitive. Size you can change on your chat by pressing small, medium and large. I'll dictate the size of the letters. But what a lot of people miss is that when they get in here, they will usually not have a clan chat or anything else. They'll just be in this one. I have a clan because I'm in a clan. Yours will likely be set to global as a default chat. Now global is a fine place to introduce yourself and get acquainted, but this is everybody's access. What you want to do as a new player when you get in is press the plus icon here and select nation. Go into nation chat. You'll see there's already a bit of thing going on, and go in there and say, oh, hello everyone. If I could type. And so on and so forth. Go into your nation chat, open an arm and present yourself as a new player in there. Get to know your nation and the guys you're going to be fighting alongside, and that way it'll make it easier for you to find potential people to help you. So if you're ever in a situation where your chats have reset or are gone, plus icon and select the chat you'll need. If in a clan, the clan chat will always be there, but you'll find instances where you restart the game or get back into the game and it'll reset down to like clan chat and stuff like that. So plus icon, open nation, open global if you feel like it. And at some point you might have people sending you direct messages or private messages, as it's called. And you'll find those next. So if you have multiple open, I'll just open up all the tabs here. Global, we'll add help as well. You can see they just get smaller and smaller each tab. And if you suddenly find yourself having more, you can scroll to the sides by the arrow keys here. So that's opening and closing different chats. Now, as you get into the game as a new player, a lot of people will feed you information. Sometimes they'll pass on links to a certain YouTube channel or a web page like the NA Map Netlify page to give that as an aid for you. A lot of people say, well, I can't click the link. How do I get the link out? What you can do is you'll go into hover your mouse over the name of the person that sent you that link. You'll right click. It'll bring up a menu. You can directly reply to people. You can start a private chat. You can send in an in-game mail. You can copy, which is what you want for copying links into your browser. You can send group invites, add friends, clan invites if you're in a clan, blah, 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 blah. And you can see their info as well. Like this guy, Ezekiel here, a national friend of mine. You can see his rank, when he started the game, and what clan he belongs to. So if you ever need to copy something like a link, right click, select copy and go to your browser, insert the link needed. So that's a bit about the chat. Get into the game. Make sure you open your nation chat and go present yourself. My next tip is gonna be probably fairly obvious for it being a multiplayer game, but make friends. In game, you want to make friends, especially within your own nation, but find people that you play well with, you have the same sort of humor, and it'll just add to your enjoyment. It also has obvious benefits, because that will mean you have good people to give you advice, help you gain certain resources, make trade with, go have fun with in certain fights, and so on. And once you start adding people to your friend list, and if you open up your friend list, it also gives you some more options. Because right now my friend list is fairly long. I've been here for some time. What you can do is actually sort by who's online. So you'll, by having people on your friend list, you'll actually have the ability to see who's active in game of the people you know right now. You can do the same in a clan chat, or in your own clan if you're in one. But if you're just playing around solo or new, get people added to your friend list, those that are helpful and tells you to, or just ask if you need anything or need a bit of advice. Add them to your friend list. It'll make it so much easier to see who's active and where to go. And it also, having people on your friend list just adds so many more opportunities of, like, sure, if I needed to ask for a favor or tell him something, he doesn't need to be online for me to message him. I can private message him, which will pop up on his chat next time he logs in, or I can send him an in-game mail, which he'll be able to read the next time he logs in. And I can't do that if I don't have him on my friend list, because there's no way for me to find him and right click him unless he just posted something in Nation Chat just before I logged in. So add people to your friend list and make friends. Right. In Naval Action, you'll be dealing with 3 time zones, or 3 times. Now, the obvious one is pressing T and bringing up our chat. You can see your time, so your current time, wherever in the world you are, whenever you write in the chat. So, if I could actually type, you'll see it presents itself as 4 minutes past 9, and that it's exactly the time for me in Denmark as I'm recording this. So that's 1 time. So that's your current time in your time zone. Now, the other time you need to know is server time. If you go by pressing M, it brings up your map. Top left corner, it'll show you the date and the time on the server. Now you'll see the server is 2 hours behind me, and I'm GMT +2. You need to know this as a new player, because certain events and other stuff will be coordinated relative to server time, not your local time. If your player base or your friends are spread out across the world, you need a common time zone, and most people use the server time up here. So any events or anything else, or when maintenance is coming up and stuff like that, is usually set around server time. Now the server resets every day at 10 server time. So that's in a little less than 3 hours. That's the second time. Now when you're out in the open world, there's another time you can see. Usually we can look at the sky and we know which is northeast, west and south. And relative to the sun's position, we can gauge the time of the day. However, if you press F and bring up your fleet menu, it will also give you the West Indies time right here. West Indies time is the current time of day in game. So not the server time, not your time locally, but the time it is in game. And you'll see it skips in steps of 10 minutes. So right now it's 18:10, and in a few seconds it's going to change to 18:20. There we go. So that's the 3 times in naval action. Your local time will be displayed in your chat. West Indies times is displayed under your fleet menu, and under the map you'll see server time. Now another tip is gear fear. Fight it in the beginning. The ships you're going to be using in the beginning, even the basic cutter. I mean, the basic cutter is free. There's no risk in losing it. You can get another one for free. But a lot of people, and this is not just naval action, this is a lot of games, like if you play some of the other online shooters or whatever, people get this sense of gear fear when they get a better ship or they get better upgrades or better guns. Don't have gear fear in the beginning. Ships are fairly easy to come by, especially if you use some of the other tips by, like, make sure you have good friends or join a clan that will assist you in getting leveling ships to get you up in levels quicker. Don't have a gear fear. Get out there, attempt combats. Sorry for mispronouncing that, but get out there, get stuck in, go fight, go learn how to control and maneuver your ship. It's fairly common to want to attack smaller targets in the beginning, like ships that are smaller than the one you're currently in, or at least on par with yourself. Fair enough. But as soon as you get the controls down, take risks. Get ships that are at least your own size to gain XP. Now, XP in the game is determined by how much damage you do to the enemy ship. So the more damage, the more XP you'll get out of a fight. That is also why capturing a ship by either boarding or some other way, if you decrew it by an explosion, and then capturing it afterwards, won't give you as much XP because you haven't destroyed as much of the ship. It's calculated differently. So, no gear fear. Get out there, try, and then when you get into the middle tiers of the ranks and you start to get very good upgrades or very well built ships or rarewood ships, of course be a bit more cautious, but in the beginning, get out there. Ships are cheap and easy to come by in the beginning, even though you may not have as much resources to come by to buy the ships, but they're easy to capture. So ditch the gear fear, get out there, try harder. Next tip I'm going to give you is XP gaining. What you want to do in the beginning is focus on leveling up so you get more crew. That means gaining XP in any way you can. Doesn't matter on what ships or such. You're working towards your level progression and more crew, not to upgrade a certain ship. Now, XP is determined in battle. For instance, you get very little XP from sailing. But XP is determined by the battle rating of the ships in the battle. So, using the pirate frigate as an example, I have a battle rating of 180. If I attack a ship with the same battle rating, I get a flat out XP by how much, determined by how much damage I've done to the opponent during the fight. If I attack a ship with a lower battle rating, like something like a trade brick or something that has a lower battle rating than the 180, I get a debuff to my XP, so I'll gain less XP even though I might be doing the same amount of damage. And it's also pretty obvious that a bigger ship, you can deal more damage to it before it sinks than a trade brick can. But doing damage to something that's over your size, like if I attack something with a battle rating of 250 or anywhere above 180, I get a buff or a bonus to my XP gain. So if somebody takes you out to do a bit of XP grind, usually as a new player you can have veteran players take out one of their bigger ships, help you demast an enemy ship and let you sink it, do all the hull damage. The bigger the ship is relative to you, the more XP you're going to get from it. Still, you need to be able to penetrate and sink the ship, obviously. But if you attack stuff with higher battle rating than yourself, you get a bonus to your XP. If you attack stuff with a lower battle rating than your own, you won't get as much XP as you probably could. So when you start grinding to get to the next crew level or rank, it's faster if you can attack stuff that's equal your size or slightly bigger. Another trick I'm going to, or not a trick, but a tip I'll give you is, as soon as you can and get into the fights, practice your manual sailing. I'm not going to show you on screen now. There's so many videos out there showing you how to manually sail your ships by controlling the angle of your sails and stuff. But practice it. This is one of the most important skills as you get into a fight. Otherwise, you'll get caught in the wind because you oversteer, stuff like that. Get practicing your manual sail. Go on YouTube, find some of the other guys that do videos or do the tutorial in game as well. Practice it as much as you can. Even have other players come into a fight with you and show you how it's done or talk you through it. You need to be able to manually control your sails and tack against the wind. So get manual sailing down, guys. Get it done. The next tip I just want to give is don't undercrew. Not in the beginning. Undercrewed ships can work fairly fine. Some ships are just undercrewed as they are. But as a new player rising through the first few ranks, there's this excitement of getting bigger ships and more firepower and faster, and wow, we all want to be Nelson and we want to do so yesterday. However, I would advise against undercrewing for the first few days, hours, whatever in game until you get comfortable controlling the ships. Because undercrewing, like if I bring up my pirate frigate here, if my current rate or rank was only giving me 180 crew, even though I might be able to get a hold of the pirate frigate here, which has a maximum crew of 300, it might be a gift from a friend, it might be something you bought because you made a lot of reals and you bought it because it was cheap on sale. But you only have like 60 or 75% of the crew. Don't sail it yet. For the first few ranks, keep in ships that you can fully crew. This is because undercrewed ships will have a debuff to reloading, to sail controls, to sail setting speed, and you're going to be so much more vulnerable from incoming fire, and you're going to be much more prone to be boarded. And it takes a bit more skill to use a ship undercrewed. You need to take like broadsides away from being reloaded on one side of your ship. You need to shuffle your crew around a bit more using the some of the buttons in game, and there's a lot of videos covering how to use these controls. But just for a simple tip, for the first few ranks, until you get very comfortable with the controls, don't use undercrewed ships. Now, another tip I want to share with you is if you go out with other guys and they'll help you grind XP, you need to join the combat they are starting. Usually it will be the biggest ship starting any combat, and whoever's tagging along will have to join after. Now, when the biggest ships initiate a combat like this, I just need to speed up kindly. Click on the ship and you see the ship around, the circle around the ship. You need to be within that circle to start the attack. Now, I can't attack at any ship, but this is just to show you. As soon as that player has tagged the enemy ship and the countdown of 5 seconds gone down, right above them there'll be a set of crossed swords that you can click on and join. However, there'll be a circle you need to be within to join that fight, and that circle is determined by the attacking ship's position relative to the target. So if my attack was starting now, drawing a line from the enemy straight through me, continuing over and out would mean that the join circle would be over here. So the position of the attacking ship and the target is what's going to determine where the circle you need to join the battle from is going to be. So a line from the target through the attacker and then out and behind the attacker is where the attack circle is going to be. As a new player, you usually tend to just follow the player that's going to lead the attack right behind, like ready to get in there. And that usually means you'll have to turn around and go back to rejoin the circle. So just hang back a little bit, see where the attack comes. So if I attack now, a line between from the target through me and out and behind. So that will mean the attack circle or the join circle would be around here. So hang back slightly when you're getting pulled into a fight, and make sure you get that join circle down fairly quickly. If I was on the opposite side, like over here, the line would be going the opposite way and the join circle would be here. If I would attack slightly forward, the join circle would be over here. Hope that makes some sense at least. This next tip is going to be about fleet control. When you're out at the open sea and maybe in a trade fleet, or you just captured another ship and you need to shift crew around or items in the hold, what you want to do is press F to bring up your fleet menu, or press the icon with the anchor down in the bottom. It'll bring up this window. On the left or right hand side, not the left hand side, you'll always start by seeing your current ship. What you can do here is actually go straight into the hold of your ship. If you want to, you can also do that by pressing H or using the barrel icon in the bottom, and you'll see the current hold or the hold of your main ship. However, you can also adjust the slider in the bottom here and move to the next ship in your fleet. Now you can't see these ships when sailing around in the open world, but you can access their holds, which means you can transfer items from one hold to another if you want to. That's might be useful for somebody going around with a trade fleet and fishing at the same time, and your main hold suddenly fills up. If you're fishing and fill up your main ship's hold, it won't start transferring to the other holds of your ships. So at this point, it might be useful to switch around, or if you're about to trade a ship to a friend or something like that. Other things you can do in this menu on all of your ships. As a standard, you can have 2 ships in any fleet without any perks. What you'll see is there's another 2 slots down here, giving you the option to add a 3rd and a 4th ship. However, these are locked and you need fleet perks for these. Other options you have in this control bar is especially useful after combat if you don't want to go to port and repair and you have the items to do so. You can add or take away crew from your ship. As soon as the number goes red, it's below the minimum crew you need to sail the ship and get it moving. So you can add and subtract crew here, and you'll notice down at the bottom it says available crew. I have a total of 1500, and you can see the dark gray is what's used on my ships, and you see how much is free. So the more I add, the more is used, and you need to press apply changes to make sure it goes into effect. What you can also do is repair your ships. You can see by hovering over the condition of your ship, and if I press the icon, I can choose to repair and decide how many hull repairs I want to use. Same with the sails. I can do that for each of the ships I have in my fleet. So fleet control, slide bar down here, crew slider for each ship, repair, hold, and if you hover over the icon of a ship, it'll actually bring up the ship stats. So another good way to see things quickly if you're out in the open world and you don't want to go into port or there's no good port nearby. Another tip I want to share with you is that when out in the open world, you have a set speed that will dictate how fast you'll travel relative to the wind. This speed, pressing F to bring up the fleet menu, is when you're just out on your own in one ship, that is obviously dictated by the speed of that ship. Now this Bucentaur does 12.2. So if I was just in this ship alone, that will be the ship dictating how quickly I can travel in the open world relative to the wind. However, as soon as you start adding ships, like if you captured one or you're running around doing trade missions in 2 or maybe even 3 or 4 trade ships, if you got the perks to do so, it changes slightly. Because if you remember from the last tip, we captured this LGV here. Now this ship has a base speed of 11.35 knots. That means I have 2 ships in my now a small convoy or squadron. And when moving around in the open world, even though my quickest ship is the one set as my main, and that is usually what dictates my speed, as soon as you add more ships in, it will be the slowest ship that will dictate your overall base speed and then how fast you can move relative to the wind in open world. So keep that in mind when doing trade runs and stuff like that. A lot of people will get a very quick and fast trade ship and give it some good upgrades and make sure it has all the right speed books on it as soon as the XP comes in, and then ignore their fleet ships. However, it's the fleet ships or whichever is the slowest ship that will dictate your speed. So if you can like make ships in your trade convoys especially that is more or less of the same speed, you'll get a more stable overall speed and a better picture than if you just use one very fast ship and then add 3 slow ships to your trade convoy. So overall convoy speed is set by or determined by the slowest ship. Now a little bonus tip for you guys that really love the aesthetic of the ships and the look of the game. Pressing Control H will remove your UI. This goes both in the open world and in port, but also in combat, and that will allow you to take slightly prettier screenshots like this one. Yoink. I can use that as a thumbnail for the videos. So press Control H again will bring up the UI. Just know that when you're in combat, there's 3 steps, like UI up, UI removed but still have sight lines, and then Control H once more remove the UI completely, and that's the one you want to use for the very good screenshots of broadsides and ships exploding and stuff like that. But Control H to remove the UI. Just get those pretty screenshots that you see like Naval Action Italian, guys like Black Panther and some of the others doing. Just a quick bonus tip at the end of the video. Well, there we go, gentlemen. That was 10 tips and tricks that I just wanted to share with you, and hopefully it'll make any new players coming into the game their gameplay and progression slightly easier. Now remember, there's a lot of videos being done out there on all the different aspects of the game: manual sailing, crew control, gunnery, boarding, whatever, tactics and stuff like that. Go have a look around. There's a lot of people out there doing good videos on how to play Naval Action. Go check them out. So I hope you enjoy this, and may you have fair winds in Naval Action, and until next time, stay safe.